Hey guys, Brad here with Custom Offsets. We got an episode of I Never Knew, and this one's going to be called Stackin' with Brad, ya boy.
Custom Offsets, Team Stance is the team, we on top of it now. We ain't never gonna fade, so you better get ready for taking over the game.
All right, so a question I get a lot of times is, or actually I see a lot of times, is people who will buy a lift kit, say 6-inch, and they drive around on it for a while, and then after a while they say, I want my truck to be higher. And so what they do is they go ahead and sometimes buy a spacer or a leveling kit or something to put on top of the lift kit they have. And usually we don't recommend that because it messes with a lot of things that the lift kit wasn't designed for. But sometimes it's okay if you know what you're doing and if you do the proper steps to compensate for what you are doing. And in this case, I'm going to show you one of those instances where it is okay. This here is a 2013 F-150. This belongs to Kirk here at Custom Offsets, who works in the customer service department. And so what Kirk has here is he's got a total of 8.5 inches of lift on his F-150. And he did so, if you watch his video, he's got a couple of things done to it to achieve this. Basically how it starts off is, this is a McGoy's 6.5-inch lift that's on this truck right now, and that comes with just the typical strut spacer that you'll see in some of our other lift videos. So what it does is it uses the factory strut with the McGoy's spacer to achieve 6.5 inches of total lift. And so what Kirk decided to do was he wanted to go higher, so rather than just throwing a 2.5-inch spacer in there, he decided to do it the right way. And what he did was he then bought a 6-inch BDS lift strut to get rid of that spacer, and then on top of that lift strut he put a 2.5-inch leveling kit. So he's got a 6.5-inch or a 6-inch BDS lift strut with a Top Gun Customs 2.5-inch leveling kit on top. And wait, let me get a image here. All right, so this isn't exactly the spacer that's on this truck. This is just one that we had laying around. This is actually for, I think it's for a Dodge. It's a coil spring spacer. But basically, you'll get the idea. Like I said, what Kirk did with that 6-inch BDS lift strut, he eliminated the McGoy spacer that it came with and added a 2.5-inch spacer, a Top Gun custom spacer. This is actually a TGC spacer. Like I said, this isn't for an F-150. This is actually for a Dodge with a coil spring up front. But you get the idea. So he then took that lift strut and added this 2.5-inch spacer on top of it, which is, it's just a leveling kit. It's a 2.5-inch leveling kit that he put on top of the BDS strut. So he basically went back to kind of the same thing that he started with, except a different form. Rather than having a stock strut with a large 6-inch spacer or whatever the McGoy's one is, he used a 6-inch lift strut and now is just using a 2.5-inch spacer on top of it. And so raising his total lift height to 8.5 inches. And when he did that, one of the problems with the F-150s have is they don't have much articulation with the upper control arm because the ball joints will bind and they max out, and they actually like to run into these coil springs here. So Kirk went and got these Pro Comp upper control arms. They're heavy duty control arms and they have this massive up ball joint in them, and what that does, it allows you to have more range of motion of the ball joint, so you're not binding your ball joints up at an angle like this. It gives you more travel basically, so that you can put that spacer in there without damaging any of the ball joints or any components like that. And then same thing goes with the CV axles. That's the one thing that you try and correct for when you do a lift is ball joint angles and CV axles, if it's a four-wheel drive, that is. And that's kind of what he did here by using this Pro Comp upper control arm. As you can see, he still has the McGoy's lift knuckle. He just used this upper control arm to help with his ball joint angles. And then for the CV axles, the McGoy's kit comes with a diff drop. So it drops the diff down so that you're not maxing out your CV axles and having too much angle on them. And so if you think about it, you know, with the McGoy's kit in there at 6.5 inches, the CV axles are designed to be pretty much at an angle similar to factory. So when he went ahead and added an extra 2.5 inches of lift, it's almost just like having a factory truck and having 2 inches of lift up front like a leveling kit, so that there isn't too much angles on the CV axles. So this is one of those cases where, you know, Kirk did his homework and research and did it the right way, rather than, you know, it would have been one thing where I would have said definitely don't do it if he just had that factory McGoy's coil or strut spacer in there. It's probably about a 5-inch spacer or something, and then decided to put another 2.5-inch spacer on top of that. You know, that would be something that we would definitely say is not safe and you shouldn't do. But in this case, you can see how it is okay, because he's not stacking spacers. He simply just replaced his spacer with a longer strut and a smaller spacer and got him 2.5 inches of extra lift. And then in the back, that's kind of to compensate, to add, I think what he did in the back is he had an add leaf added to add about 2 more inches in the back to bring the back up, because it would have sagged a little to get it up to 8 inches. But yeah, that's one of the examples. This is why we're showing you this truck, because it's one of those examples where it's not always bad to stack a lift kit on a leveling kit or vice versa. And whoa, but most of the time it isn't okay. But there is cases where it is safe to do, and you just got to make sure that you're doing it properly and that you're doing your homework and making sure that you're correcting your ball joint and CV angles and other things like brake lines or whatever that may be, to make sure that you're not maxing all those things out and putting too much stress on your components. So yeah, that was shit I never knew. Stacking with Brad, your boy over here. We out ya, you know. And I would just love it if you tuned in next time for another episode, and I can inform you on all the latest and greatest trends going around in this lovely automotive world that we're in. So take care, have a good one. I'm out.